Hi, I'm Jillian Manus, and thank you so much for coming. The topic today is investing in values, not just valuations. And the reason why this is important is because values should really be the North Star of a company. If we do not instill values into the foundation, the culture of our companies, then I feel that many companies lose their way. And so it's really up to you. So one of the things that structure does is we have this training. Investing in values, not just valuations. We've seen companies like Zander, a lot of our really great companies, if they do this training, we see that they're able to navigate challenges better. They are able to retain talent, attract talent. Because the fact is that companies right now, they really don't, they really need to stand for something. I mean, you definitely stand for something, but your values have to be who you are. They can't be just something you put up on a screen, because that's not going to wash. That's not authentic. And so we see that the companies that use their values as their North Star to create direction and provide really a compass for decision making are the ones that succeed. So investing values. There was a report called the Edelman Trust Barometer, and I think you guys should look at an Edelman Trust report. I don't know if anybody of you heard of this. Yes, a little bit. And it was very interesting because it said that this generation, the younger generation and the ones that follow, are the least trusting of any generation ever. It also said that you are also the most trusting of your parents, which I thought was really interesting, that this generation has the best relationship with their parents, which I thought was fascinating. But you have the least trust for government, for educational institutions, for religious institutions, and of course you do. Why wouldn't you, right? But the one trust that you're looking for, the one alignment with your values is really your companies and the leadership of your companies, because people are looking for companies that align with their own values and where their values matter. And so for me, values equals trust. If you trust each other and you trust your leadership, then you actually can build a company that will be authentic and transparent and true, not like some of the other things we're going through right now. Okay. Engineers, but everybody. One of the first entry points to a investment for us, for venture capital, but especially for structure capital, is the person. So we don't invest in the product. We actually invest in the person first. I first met Mike on the pitch. Okay, it's a podcast, as you guys know, right? Mike comes in. Within 5 minutes, I invested $100,000 into Mike, not into Shift. I actually invested $100,000 into Mike. And I've had more response to that one episode than any of the other episodes on Pitch. They said, I'm sorry, you invested $100,000 of your own money. By the way, this is my own money, not Structure's, in 5 minutes. What the hell? Why did you do that? You're like, is that your due diligence process? Woohoo! You know? I'm like, no, it's much deeper than that. But I saw Mike. And what I invested in is the person, because in this case, Mike is the product. And all of you are the product. And we invest in you, each one of you, which is why I wanted all your names. The product is Shift, but the product is nothing. It's an amalgamation of all of you. And so you have to be very mindful of what you design, what you are building is an extension of you. It's all your fears, it's all your biases, it's all your judgments that actually is baked into every product. You may not notice that, but that's the truth. And so as you're building this company, you have to be very mindful that it is really just an extension of your person, because your person really is the product. All right, guys, moment of truth. Who has integrity? Raise your hand. Okay, so I have posed this question to literally audience of 5,000. I've posed this question to audience of 500 or 50. And it's usually like this. Who has integrity? or who thinks they have integrity? And the hand goes up, or you see a hand like this, or you see like a this, or you see someone turning to someone else and going, I'm sorry, why is your hand up? You're like, really? And I see this all the time. And the interesting part about this is that integrity has so much ambiguity right now. Like, what is integrity? If you ask me, do I have integrity? I'll be the one like this. I want to believe that I have integrity, but on the other hand, maybe I've done things that probably lack some integrity. So I'm not quite sure I can do this. I have to be very mindful that I can't, that I'd like to have that 100%, but maybe I always don't. And by being very mindful that my hand is a little bit like this, I keep myself in check, like you keep yourself in check. And that's critical to this integrity moment. Airbnb, which is a huge company, right? They have their general counsel is a guy named Rob Chestnut, who, by the way, is an investor in Shift. I don't know if you knew that. And Rob just left his position after being there 4 years, still at Airbnb, and he's now running the ethics. He's director of ethics. And he wanted to do that because he built something called the Intentional Integrity Program at Airbnb. And it literally is one of their pillars of their entire company. And he drives integrity into everything. He drives it through videos and different programs. He talks to every single employee throughout the world about integrity. So it's really become part of their culture. So when I speak to a company and I ask Mike and ask all of you what your values are and what your company's values, it should not be on a website. It is really, you have to live the values. You have to be the values. It cannot just be thrown up on a website. And if these values are being questioned, you need to talk about that to each other and to Mike and to the leadership period. And because values to me and integrity, bottom up, top down, boards, employees, security guards, you walk into Airbnb and everybody breathes integrity. Transparency. So here's the thing about transparency. You think I'm going to talk about transparency of data. Nope. I think that should be a given. It's a transparency about you yourself, and it's about what I call the whisper behind the back. You've got a problem with somebody, you walk up to them and you tell them. You do not say it behind somebody's back. That does not work, and it breeds a very bad culture. If you have a problem with someone, you walk up to them, and instead of saying, I don't like the way you did that, or I don't think you did a good job on that, that's not going to work either. My father says it's style over substance. You walk up to someone and you say, how can I help you to do this a little better, right? In other words, how can I answer that question you have about me? I heard, not quite sure, that you said this about me, or I heard you don't like the work that I'm doing. Can I help you with that? Can I talk a little bit about that? So don't do anything behind somebody's back. Not going to help. This whole code of silence that companies go through, that's a killer. If you see something that's going wrong, talk to the person about it, then talk to the leadership about it. Every big CEO that I've spoken to of every Fortune 500 company said that every bit of bad news is good news if he hears about it, or she first. So talk about it. We love the code of silence. Nobody wants to be a rat. But if you see something's going on, it's going to bring the whole company down. Approach the person face to face, and then start to work on it from there. I talk about empathy because I talk about it as human standing. It's another approach to understanding. It's human standing. What people don't realize is that when you are working with a team, you never really start to question what's going on behind that person's life. If that person is not doing well, put yourself in their shoes. What's going on in your family? What's going on at home? What's happening in your head and your heart together? Have empathy. Lead with kindness. Lead with understanding. Don't judge people. God did not put us on this earth to judge each other or however we got here. Me, probably a spaceship. But, we were not dropped on this earth, right, to judge each other. Don't do that. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Find out what's wrong with them and why. And then try to lead from that place. Leading with kindness helps. And one thing they always say to people, forgive. If someone does you wrong, forgive them. There was a study done at Stanford by a guy named Dr. Fred Luskin. He wrote a book called Forgive for Good. If you don't forgive somebody for something they've done to you, it will physiologically break you down. So you've got to let go. One thing I say, if someone's done you bad, don't forget. Okay? I never say to someone, forgive and forget. Forget that. You forgive, hold on to it, move forward. And you say to that person, hey, I forgive you for this. Can't forget it, but let's move forward. And that kind of releases it. And in a team and in a company, there are going to be a lot of mistakes. And you guys are going to have to forgive each other for them. You're going to have to move on and then learn from that, let go. This is really interesting. I always talk about patience. So the patience, the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble or suffering without getting angry or upset. Bet most of you didn't realize that that's what patience was. So this is one of my biggest issues with people. When you lose control, if you don't take one thing from this talk, this would be it. When you lose control, you lose your power. When you lose control over your emotions and you scream, you stomp, you break down, whatever it is, you cry, you have a hissy fit, I don't care what it is, you lose your power. Many years ago, actually not that many, but number, I was in a meeting. I was up for a huge board seat of a major, major company that I would have killed for, and I wanted it so badly. I was down to two of me, right? And I'd gone through, it's a global company, and I'd gone through one after another, and finally I was meeting with the chairman, right, of this company. He grilled me for 3 hours, and I was just, I knew it, by the way. I knew what I was doing. He said, I'm really impressed. And I thought to myself, okay. And I said, but give me one more question. Is there something else that's been on your mind? Like, I want one question. What have you been thinking about this whole time? And you want to give it to me. And he said, you know what? There is one. He said, this whole time, I've been trying to think what color underwear you're wearing.
Ooh, yikes. Jeez.
Okay. Now, women, I'm going to talk to you about this first, but I want the men to hear it too. Unfortunately, in society, women are perceived as drama queens. And there are a lot of CEOs and there are a lot of men who feel that if women in a culture, somehow they're going to go off and they're going to throw a fit or they're going to break down and cry, they're going to become too overly emotional. That's a stigma we carry, right? The minute that you lose your control, they win. They win, they win, they win. Okay? I could have easily have gotten up and said, are you kidding me? How dare you say that to me? But I didn't, because he would have won. So what I did say is, you know what? This whole time I've been thinking, what color underwear are you wearing? And he sort of took him aback. And I said, so if that's the end of the questions, I held up my hand. I did not say, it's a pleasure to meet you, because it wasn't. I just said, thank you. And I say this to everyone, you end every time tenacious but gracious. Thank you. And I walked out. Then I wrote a letter to the board. And I told them what happened. And I got so much positive feedback from the board saying, Jillian, you were actually our first choice. And how can we make this right? And we're so sorry. And I said, he can step down as chair of the board. And they said, the stock will go crazy and there's no way. And I said, then I'm removing myself, because I cannot belong to a company where it does not align with my values, my sense of myself. And if that's the toxicity, and that was on his mind the entire time, then I'm not of value on this board, in this company, period. But the key to this is I didn't lose my control. I didn't lose my head. Only afterwards did I let it rip. And by the way, that email was scathing. I've said this to Mike, and Mike has really heard me on this. Appreciation is very undervalued, I would say. What happens in a workplace, and whether it's a huge company or a small company, when you reach your goals, all right, you say to people, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you've done. Congratulations, good job. That's not how it should be. It's every single level, every single point of reaching that goal. That's what should be appreciated. That's what should be acknowledged. Every single step. Of course, if somebody reached their goal, you want to say congratulations, but how about good job along the way? How about during that journey? Acknowledge what people are doing. Also acknowledge how people are treating each other. Hey, I saw that you were listening to Alex. I saw that you guys were having a conversation and you were really, or I saw that you were mentoring someone today, or I saw that you came in extra early. Or whatever it is, people, do you know statistics show that people care more about credit than they care about compensation? Do you know that? That people would rather be acknowledged for their work than given a couple of pennies for it, or stock. Well, maybe not stock, but definitely you need to appreciate, you need to give credit where credit's due, and make a point every day of acknowledging the efforts around you, not just the goals reached. Okay, humility. I can't say enough about this. That's actually one of the reasons I invested in Mike. For a man who has accomplished a lot, a young man who's accomplished a lot and has done it with honor, you've also done it with great humility. And I think that for me, there are 4 parts of humility. One is for great leaders, humility is the ability to listen, okay, and value all ideas. Another one is to own it. If you're a humble person, you will own your mistakes. And what that does is it enables other people to be able to make mistakes and be able to share them with you. So listen and own it, and delegate. Know how to delegate. Know how to delegate, right? I am the worst at this, I'd like to say. I'm a total control freak. Yes, Jacob? Yes, I am. I know that. I own that. But I also realize that I have to trust other people. You need to delegate. That's part of being a humble person, is knowing that you cannot do everything 100% all the time. You need to, don't micromanage, be able to delegate. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people say, I'd like you to meet my product manager. I did this. It is never the I. It's always the we. We did this. This is our product manager, right? We accomplished this. Please don't use the I. It drives me to drink. It just does. It's a we. And if you can start the we here, you will then grow this company to be based on we, not the selfish I. Inclusion. Okay, that's such a big word, and I worry that it's being sort of watered down. We know that gender diversity, right? We know that cultural and ethnic diversity, we see, and statistics show that it is highest profit companies are ones that have this diversity piece. But I want to talk a little bit more about the diversity and inclusion, because inclusion is not just a place and diversity is not just a word. Inclusion means a place that's safe and welcomed, right? And there's a lot that's going on right now. And definitely, I don't think in this company, but I worry as a whole because I talk to many companies and some of them have thousands of employees, right? And there's a big issue that's been created by the Me Too movement. And I know that's odd coming from me. But on one hand, the Me Too movement has provided women a platform to talk about issues and to really have a voice. But what has happened, gentlemen, is that it's also really isolated women. There are a lot of guys who are saying, I don't want to invite someone into my team. I don't want to have a separate conversation with a woman in a room, in a conference room, because I'm worried about everything that I say, something might be misconstrued. Something might be misinterpreted. I'm really worried about that. So I feel like I'm taking a step back from women when I really want to be on equal footing with them, but I'm scared. And I hear it all the time. So here's my answer to that. Gentlemen, whatever you cannot say in front of your mother, your wife, or your sister, or to them, don't say. It's very easy. It's not right? Mother, sister, woman, or anybody, women that you respect in your life, whatever you can't say or do in front of them or say to them, just don't say. Safe. And you're done. So include women, include each other, wrap around each other. Don't be scared. Just be very, very self-aware. Agree? Okay. You know, in the military, and I'm assuming a lot of you are from, but in the military, we talk a lot about honor and what is our honor code. And, you know, we will not cheat, we will not steal, we will not lie, and we will not tolerate that from others. That is our code. But the fact is that honor to me actually steps this a bit further. My honor is my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And if I cannot, I do not say I can. And it's okay, and it's not dishonorable to say, you know what? I'm not quite sure I can get this done. You know, I'm going to do my best. Do not give anybody the impression that you're going to be able to deliver on something you cannot. Because your honor, your word, is your personal currency and your professional currency. And you cannot just risk that. And so I worry about, and I deal a lot with boards, and I deal a lot with founders, and I deal a lot and I see where founders are maybe not, and employees are maybe not delivering 100% of the true information because they're maybe worried because they promised something that they couldn't deliver on, and now they're kind of pulling back. So be thoughtful before you say to someone, I can deliver this, I give you my word. My word, if you know about me, my word is everything. And the minute that people devalue it, they devalue me, and they devalue my honor. And that to me is my most important value. So don't risk it. And I'll leave you on this, and then I want to have Mike come up. So the 21st century business model that we're all trying to build is very clear. Basically what it is a returning to society, not just to shareholders. And one of the ways we can do that is by taking the values that we have internally and pushing them out externally into the community. We're going to be able to basically pass these values forward. Many years ago, I was sitting in church. Now, I'm half Jewish and I'm half Episcopalian. So a tremendous amount of guilt, actually. And so whether you put me in a temple, you put me in a church, I'm always like, you know, very, very guilty of something, God knows. But there was this pastor, and he basically said that people really misunderstand a blessing. He said that when we receive a blessing from God or from the universe or from wherever, we receive it and we're appreciative of it. But the problem is that people think that when we receive, it stops with us. And the fact is that a blessing needs to be passed through us. And blessings, everyone, comes in different forms. It is patience. It is empathy, right? It is wisdom. And I do believe that these values need to be passed through us. And so whatever you've learned today, even if it's just one thing today, pass it forward, pass it to the community at large, and really elevate everybody. Because I think that if we have the values as all of our North Stars, we're actually going to find our way to a better world. And with that, I'd like to invite Mike up, but thank you very much.